Welcome to the In Love with PMDD podcast. I am your host, Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist, and I help you stop the monthly PMDD breakups. PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It is in approximately 1 in 5 women, and it makes you want to break up with your partner approximately 1 to 2 weeks before your period every single month. So as someone who has suffered with PMDD for over 18 years, I dedicated my doctorate practice to helping partners navigate those monthly PMDD breakups with everything from attachment styles, triggers, sensitivity to noise, sensitivity to touch, all of the things that you really struggle with when you're in PMDD. And I also dedicated my dissertation to a phenomenological study of the relationship experiences of partners of individuals who suffer with premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So I'm not just here to help the sufferer, the one who is suffering with PMDD. I am here for the partners as well. So if you need those private sessions, make sure you go to inlovewithpmdd.com and get those tools. So let's get into this week's PMDD trauma transformational tools that is going to help you stop the monthly breakups and stop the suffering and stress in your PMDD relationship. Let's get into it. So today I want to introduce you to one of the tools that really helps when you are overthinking in PMDD. I have used this technique so many times with a lot of my private clients, and I'm going to share it with you today. And it is based off of one of my favorite people, and that is Bruce Lee. So Bruce Lee has this phrase, this quote that he used that says, "Be water, my friend." And he was basically talking about if you put water in a cup, it becomes the cup. If you put water in a teapot, it becomes a teapot. And I've literally used this so many times with clients when they're overthinking within PMDD, because so many times when those thoughts are running through your head, specifically overthinking with intrusive thoughts, they're going again and again and again, and it almost feels like you're entangled with them. You're in chains with all of the thoughts that you have in PMDD. You're constantly thinking about what your partner's thinking, overthinking little things that they've said, thinking about things that they've done in the past to hurt you. And it's almost hard to even look at your partner with fresh eyes after they said or done something to trigger you, because you're still stuck in that moment. You're still stuck off of something that they've done to you. And I used to be that way so many times, where with my ex-partner, he would say or do something, and instead of being able to move on and move forward, I kept repeating, "But you said this, and but you did this, and but you did that." And I kept reminding him and myself of what was said and done that caused me to be in that place of feeling uncomfortable. I just felt triggered. I felt uncomfortable. I didn't like it there. And so this phrase, "Be water, my friend," is the opposite of what I was doing. I was staying stuck. Water doesn't get stuck. It goes with the flow. And I actually have I usually tell my private clients to have something around them when they get stuck in overthinking that will remind them to go with the flow. And I actually have like a little sticker on the back of my cell phone that's just a waterfall. And if you think about the last time you've been in water, think about how freeing you were, thinking about how you kind of let your overthinking go. I know I used to live in Hawaii, and when I lived there, when I went into the ocean, when I went to the beach, I felt so free. I felt like, especially when I went under the water, I felt like I could just stop hearing all of the voices, stop hearing the overthinking and PMDD, and just really be in that place of just being free and going with the flow. And I know I've heard people say like, go with the flow. And I'm always like, what does that mean? What does it mean to be water, my friend? What does it mean to go with the flow? So I'm going to talk to you about this tool that I use, and I'm going to give you exactly what that looks like, because it's easy for someone to say, oh, just stop overthinking while you're in PMDD, just go with the flow. And it's like, okay, Dr. Rose, what does that look like? Right? So the first way that you can go with the flow and be water, my friend, while you're in PMDD, if you're stuck in that place of overthinking, is you adapting to change. So there's a lot of changes that happen when you go into PMDD, a lot of symptoms that you have that you didn't have in your follicular days, that you didn't have in ovulation, that you didn't have in menstruation. Be water, my friend, requires you to be adaptable to the changing of your cycle. So if you're stuck with, I just want to be in my follicular phase, I want to be in my follicular phase, I want to feel how I feel about my partner when I'm in my follicular phase, you're going to get stuck there. You're going to be consistently resisting the changing of your cycle. Have you found yourself in that place where when you're in one phase of your cycle, you're consistently wanting to be in another phase? When you're in menstruation, you want to be in follicular. When you're in follicular, maybe you want to be in ovulation. When you're in ovulation, maybe you want to be back in your follicular phase. Like if you always find yourself resisting the changing of your cycle, you're always going to be suffering in every phase of your cycle, because even when you're in your follicular days, if you're resisting going into PMDD in the luteal phase, if you're resisting going into menstruation, if you're resisting going into ovulation because of the symptoms that you have, you're always going to get stuck in suffering because you're not going to want your cycle to change outside of the follicular phase. And I know if you're going into perimenopause or you're getting further on, that the frequency of the changes may be very sporadic. You know, one of the things that my private clients always say is perimenopause and PMDD is so hard because I can't really predict when I'm going to have my cycle. I know I'm going to have it at this time. I can't predict when I'm going to have PMDD symptoms. So it makes it really hard for me to track. But I want you to be like water, my friend. I want you to, if you wake up one day and you have menopause or not menopause or perimenopausal symptoms and PMDD, embrace it, understand, do what you need to do for that day, for the phase of your cycle that you are in. I know it can be really daunting if you're in that phase where you're having longer days, where you're having more and more PMDD days and less good days. I want you to be water, my friend, and adapt to that change. What that means is we're not resisting it. We're not trying to fight it, right? Because at the end of the day, you can fight being in PMDD and still be in PMDD. Just because you're resisting it doesn't mean that it goes away. It almost causes you to suffer even more. The more you talk about how horrible PMDD is, how horrible your symptoms are, the more you speak that out into the existence, the worse that you feel. You don't feel any better saying how much you're suffering. So whenever I work with my private clients, I'm not just saying, let's just talk about your problems and that's all we do in our private sessions. Even here, I'm always giving you tools because I don't want you to get stuck in that place of suffering and not trying to adapt and change your mindset about your symptoms. So this is another way that you can be water, my friend. You can adapt your mindset. Adapt to the changes in your mindset about your PMDD symptoms, about your ovulation symptoms, about even when you're in your follicular days and you may be beating yourself up about the fact that you're arguing with your PMDD partner while you're in your follicular days. You may be saying, it's not supposed to be like this. It's supposed to be this way. Well, when you are being water, my friend, you are recognizing that you're going with the flow of whatever is going on within your relationship. Whatever it is that you're experiencing with your partner, you can't tell your partner, we're not supposed to be fighting or arguing right now because we're in our good days. If you have an argument, if you have a fight, if you have a disagreement within your relationship, you have to adapt yourself to that. So that's number two. You have to flow with the challenges that happen within your PMDD relationship. You're going to have challenges in every single phase of your cycle. It doesn't mean that you're with the wrong person. It doesn't mean that you're not supposed to be with your PMDD partner. It doesn't mean that you're supposed to be single. What it means is instead of resisting the obstacles, the disagreements, the fights that you're having with your PMDD partner, I want you to be like water, my friend, and flow around them. Think of it, visualize this. You're flowing around the challenges within your PMDD relationships like water flows around rocks in a stream. It doesn't try to push the rocks. You never see water be so forceful that it's pushing the rocks so that the rocks move. It's going in between them. So what does that look like in your relationship? When you have an argument or you have a disagreement with your partner, address it. Have those private sessions with me where you're saying, I don't want to ignore it. I want to address the issue so that we can flow through it. Let's address the problem so we can flow through it. We're not trying to push our problems away or hide from them, right? Water is not hiding behind the rock. It's going through them. And think of the rocks as like the problems that you have, the challenges that you have, the triggers that you have. Address them. Go through them, go around them, find creative solutions for the issues that you're having with your PMDD partner. If you're having issues with co-parenting, instead of not talking to your partner about co-parenting and just avoiding it, I want you to flow through that issue that you're having with co-parenting. Don't let the triggers that you're having with your PMDD partner cause you to not progress through them. Because if you avoid them, what you avoid, you're not facing, and what you're not facing is going to stay within your relationship. It's still going to trigger you. And then PMDD is going to use that when you go into PMDD, because I always tell you, PMDD rips the blanket off of any problem that you have with your PMDD partner. So be water, my friend, by flowing with the challenges that you're having with your PMDD partner and looking for a solution. We're not just talking about the problem, we're developing solutions to the problem. And then when you and your PMDD partner are working together for a solution to that problem, then you can flow through it. I remember so many times I would have these sessions with private clients, and they would say one of the best things that has happened for them is because since they had sessions with me, when they have triggers, when they have problems, when they have things that go on, instead of being stuck in that place, they're flowing through their problems even more. They're able to use the tools and then move forward. How good would it feel for you to be able to have an argument, have a disagreement with your partner, be able to talk about it, use the tools, and move on? Flow through your day. Because how many times have you had an argument, a disagreement, a trigger, and it ruined your whole day and you stay stuck? So when I say be water, my friend, it is the opposite of being stuck. You're not stuck. You're not stuck. If you're fit, because when you're stuck, you start to feel helpless. You start to feel like it's always going to be like this. I'm unhappy in my relationship. It's always going to be like this. When you're being water, you understand that you're flowing through the challenges. I had an argument with my partner and now we're good. I had a fight with my PMDD partner and now we're good. I said something that was below the belt and I went and apologized and now we're good. You're bringing your partner in the water with you and flowing through everything that you're going through without your day. How much easier would it be with you and PMDD if you didn't have to keep getting stuck with every single trigger that you had with your partner? You're flowing through it. Your partner triggered you. You're addressing it appropriately. You're identifying the trigger. You're processing the trigger. You're talking to your partner about it in a way that's still loving. And then you're moving through it. So the next thing, what I mean by be water, my friend, is stay present in the moment. So many times, again, when you're triggered by your PMDD partner, when you're in PMDD, you want to hibernate and you want to run away from the problems. I used to do this all the time. I used to remember I told you I had an avoidant attachment style. So every single time my partner did something to trigger me, I wanted to avoid being in contact with my partner because I thought by avoiding being in contact with my partner, I was avoiding the conflict. What being water means is you're staying present. It's always in the present moment and it's flowing effortlessly. So I had to really practice a lot of mindfulness and grounding in this. Okay. So to stay here in the now, I used to use this grounding technique that would force me not to hide, not to hibernate, not to put my phone on do not disturb and stonewall my partner, right? Because that's what it is. Stonewalling is a form of abuse. And so it basically means where you're just shutting down on your partner. They're trying to be open with you, even to discuss an argument, and you're just completely shut down. So I was like, okay, what is causing me to want to run away from this trigger? It's an uncomfortable feeling. It is me thinking about what is this going to feel like if we get into this conversation? What is it going to feel like? What happened last time? So what used to happen for me is I used to think about an argument, think about a fight, think about a big PMDD blow up that we had in the past, and immediately say to myself, I don't want to go back to that moment. So I'm going to just avoid my partner because I didn't want to go to the past, because I feared what would happen if we had an argument in the future. I was never able to be present and ground myself. I was fearing the past and fearing the future and trying to avoid the whole thing. So when you're water, you're saying, I'm going to stay here in this moment and we're going to flow through this. I'm going to address it. in a way where we're going to flow through it. I'm not going to avoid my partner. I'm not going to. So I know you may be thinking to yourself, but Dr. Rose, you always tell us to take a step back, to walk away if we need to walk away. Even walking away is flowing through something in the moment, because you're not telling your partner, you're not walking away because you're just shutting down. You may say to your partner, I just need a moment. Give me 5 minutes and then we can come and talk about this. Give me 10 minutes. You're giving your partner a time frame of when you're coming back, and then you're addressing it. So part of you walking away is part of the flowing in that moment. It's catching yourself when you're triggered, and then flowing through what you know you need to do, what works for you in that moment, and then circling back like water does, and talking back to your partner about the situation when you're emotionally regulated. So you're flowing through, working through your problems. And the next way that you can embrace being water, my friend, while you're struggling in PMDD with your partner is recognizing that everything is temporary. The trigger, the fight that you're having with your partner, the uncomfortable feelings that you're having about them and your relationship is temporary, right? So water evaporates, it condenses, it precipitates, it does all those things naturally without clinging to, the outcome. So what that means is, PMDD is temporary. So if you think about a fight that you're having, I want you to picture you and your PMDD partner having a blow up. Water evaporates. That argument can evaporate. You can be at dinner and just think of your fight as evaporating in the thin air, and then you continuing on with dinner. You're still flowing with date night. You're still flowing with having a casual lunch. You're still flowing with enjoying your partner's company. You're letting it go. You're letting everything that comes into contact with you that's negative, that's triggering, you're letting it go like water does. Water goes right through the rocks in the stream, remember? So if there's something that happens, if there's a blow up that your partner has, I know that a lot of times this happens when you're in the car. When you're in the car with your PMDD partner and they say something that trigger you, and it's almost like you hear like a record scratch. You almost look over at them and be like, I can't believe they said that. I can't believe they did that. I want you to be water, my friend. Instead of immediately shutting down or immediately lashing out, let your partner know how that made you feel. And then as the partner, don't get defensive. I wasn't trying to say that. So if you, and this happens to me plenty of times, you're in the car with your partner, you're going somewhere. You could be going to the store, coming back somewhere, whatever. And your partner says something that triggers you, and you're in PMDD, and you immediately feel yourself get triggered. And you immediately start making up stories in your mind about why your partner said that, what they think about, why they said that. Let me use something as an example. And they say to you, like, I know one of the things that really, really hurt me was, like if your partner says something like, oh, you're just saying that because you're in PMDD. So if you have a actual problem with something that your partner has said and done, and they're brushing it off and minimizing it and saying that, yeah, but you're just really sensitive when you're in PMDD. So that's probably why this bothers you. It never bothers you any other time of the month, but every single time you go into PMDD, this bothers you. So here we go again. That's a triggering comment. It's minimizing your feelings. It's not validating your experience. And so you could immediately get triggered. So this is how you can allow it to evaporate. You can say to your PMDD partner, that really hurts my feelings. It really hurts my feelings that you're not taking, what I'm saying to you seriously. I understand that you may think that this is just because I'm in PMDD, but this really bothers me. So as the partner, I don't want you getting defensive. I want you to listen. If your partner is saying that they mean it, whether they're in PMDD or not, believe them. Because if you don't, you're going to find yourself in this fight, right? When you're both arguing, you're both fighting. And if you really think about it, neither one of you want to fight. So in order to be water, my friend, allow the conversation to flow naturally, and allow when your partner says that to you, allow it to like be like a check. Like, okay, well, you're right, babe. You probably did mean it. Okay, now tell me more about it. Like, what is it that you wanted to say? Let your partner get it out. Even if you feel like you've heard it before. I remember my partner used to say, you're always repeating yourself when you're in PMDD, but that was my process. I needed to get it out. I needed to say what I need to say in order to flow through it. In order for it to be like water, I needed to have my partner hear everything that I wanted to say. So when you're being water, you're not cutting your partner off. You're not asking them to hurry up. You're not asking them, why are we talking about this again? I don't want to hear this. No, you're being water. Let them go with the flow. Let them flow out every emotion that they're feeling. Let them get it out, because once they get it out, you don't have to address it anymore. I want you to really think about that. Once you allow your partner to get it out, you don't have to address it ever again. But if you never let them get it out, it's always going to be stuck and bottled up within them. And it's always going to be something that they're holding in, and they're going to start to have bitterness and resentment. So let them get it out. Go with the flow. So the next way this tool, Be Water, my friend, can really help you when you're suffering in PMDD is you're going to try to have a balance of everything, right? Water is very synonymous with balance. You want to make sure that you're not giving too much to work and not enough at home, too much to yourself, not enough with your partner, too much to the kids, not enough with your partner, or too much, with your partner, not enough with your kids. You want to make sure everything is balanced so that things can flow naturally. Things don't flow naturally when you're pouring all of your water in only one cup. So say if you think of your life as having, let's say, 5 cups of responsibility. Let's say yourself, your PMDD symptoms, your partner, your responsibility with work, and your responsibility with family and friends. So that's 5 cups that you have to fill up every single day. You have 1 cup of water. You have one big cup of water yourself. You have to maintain a balance of pouring into each one of those areas of your life equally. You cannot give everything to your partner and think that your relationship with your your kids is going to be good. You can't give everything to your kids and think that your relationship with your partner is going to be okay. You have to be very mindful of, what am I pouring myself into? If do I need to pour more into myself? Because I always say, fill up your cup first, and then you'll be able to give to other people, specifically your partner. Don't try to give to your partner when you have only a little bit left in your cup. If you know that you're suffering in PMDD because you haven't been getting sleep, you haven't been getting, food, when enough food, you haven't been getting enough things that really are causing you to be balanced, don't try to go into discussing hard things with your partner, because you're automatically going to be triggered. You're automatically going to be on edge. So be water, my friend, and just understand, is your cup of water full? Do you have enough in your cup to even pour out to anyone else? So the next way that you can be water, my friend, while you're suffering in PMDD is understand that water is formless. It doesn't have a shape. Like I talked to you earlier that Bruce Lee said, if it's poured into a water bottle, it turns into the water bottle. If it pours into a teacup, it forms to the teacup. So what that means is, let go of any expectations of what your days in each phase of your cycle are supposed to look like. Let go of these rigid identities and saying, oh, we're in follicular phase, we're supposed to be happy. Oh, we're in PMDD days, we're supposed to be suffering. A lot of you are suffering in PMDD because you're expecting to suffer in PMDD. You could potentially have a lighter PMDD month, but you're so on edge about your symptoms, it being exasperated, that you almost don't want to like jinx yourself. You're like, oh, I don't want to say that I'm not having a bad PMDD month, because then I'll really have a bad PMDD month. Understand that months in PMDD, some are worse than others, some are better than others, and let yourself be okay with that. I know I'm on day 4 of PMDD, and it's really not that bad for me. That rhymes. But I'm not going to be rigid and say I'm supposed to suffer because I'm in PMDD right now. Could I wake up tomorrow and have an influx of symptoms and completely be in that place of suffering? Absolutely. But when I'm being water, when I'm saying be water, my friend, I'm going with the flow of what I feel every single day, what I'm experiencing every single day in PMDD. So if you're following me on Instagram, you know that I track my symptoms every single day, and it looks different. You can listen to me a month ago in PMDD on day 4, and I could have said I was already suffering. When you're being water, you're understanding that each month of PMDD looks different. and you're willing to accept that. You're not trying to make all of your PMDD days match like you're playing Uno. You're not saying, here are all my red days, here are all my green days, here are all my yellow days. No, you're accepting that today may be a red day, tomorrow may be a green day, tomorrow the next day might be a blue day. Every single day in PMDD may be different from you, and you're not trying to resist that. You're not trying to be so rigid. I understand that we all want to plan for PMDD, especially when we go into like vacations with our partner, and we may say, okay, I want to avoid, to be on the safe side, I'm going to avoid going on, you know, vacations when we're in PMDD. You can do that, but it may be possible that you can have a good vacation while in PMDD. You just never know. Different life stressors cause PMDD to be exacerbated at different times, but I don't want you to automatically assume that you're going to suffer with your partner, because those assumptions become your reality. What you assume is going to happen, you're starting to focus on it. And it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, I'm going to suffer. I'm going to suffer. I'm going to suffer. The subconscious mind is already looking for what it is that you're saying that you're going to have. But when you're being water, you're saying, I'm not expecting to suffer. I don't know what today's going to bring. You're not resisting. You're being adaptable. You're emptying your mind of any expectations about what this month, what this day in PMDD is supposed to be. You're not waking up and saying, oh, here we go. I know I'm going to suffer. You're not doing that. When you're being water, you're saying, oh, I wonder, you're being curious. I wonder how I'm going to feel today. I wonder what emotions I'm going to have. Right. And the last way that you can be water, my friend, is if you think about how water creates ripple effects. Your actions and your attitudes about being in PMDD can have a ripple effect on your partner, on your relationship. If you address your partner and you're super negative about going into PMDD, and you're like, your partner's trying to hug you and love on you and all the things, you're like, I'm about to go into PMDD. Don't ask me for anything. I'm going into PMDD. You know how I am when I'm in PMDD. You're creating that ripple effect of negativity. I want you to change the ripple effect within your PMDD relationship. Start having the ripple effect of calmness, of kindness, of love, of be loving. When I say one of my main tools is the JBL method, just be loving. Part of just being loving is being water, my friend. Being water. Let the flow of water go over your relationship. Think of it like love and water. Your relationship is going through a lot right now. It may need more love, more loving actions. Be like water, pour that over your relationship. And for those of you that are like, oh, this is too woo-woo, like it sounds too whatever, visualization is one of the main tools that works with PMDD relationship, because we have so many intrusive thoughts that create visualization that's negative in our mind. How many times have you been ruminating over an intrusive thought in your mind and created a picture of what it is that you're suffering with in your mind? Right? The mind is already creating a picture of negativity. So why would we not counter that with this visualization technique that I'm giving you of being water? Think of water as love with my JBL method. So what is it that you're needing to flow through? What is it? Whatever it is that you're needing to flow through, you're flowing through it with water, which is love. I'm flowing through this conversation with my partner as water, which is love. So I'm lovingly going to have this conversation with my partner. One of the beautiful things about water is if you think about a fire and you think about a big flame of fire, if you want to put the fire out, what do? You put water on the fire. Firefighters, if they had a hose filled with fire, it was going to do nothing but create a bigger fire. But when you want that fire to calm down, you immediately douse it with water. The bigger the fire, the more water. The bigger the argument, the more love, which is water. We're translating water into love. So the more that your partner is triggered by you, the more that they're angry, a lot of times they may just need a hug. And you may be thinking, I'm not going to hug them. They don't deserve that. Okay, well, then stay in that place of suffering. What is the alternative? You to go in your corner and create your own fire? You to fight fire with fire? Fight arguing with arguing? Fight name calling with name calling? Fight shouting with shouting? What does that get you? More shouting, more arguments. Why not try to use water with the fire? Put the water on the fire, which is love. Water is love. we're going with the flow and we're flowing that love into every single aspect of the PMDD relationship. So I want you to use this visualization technique. Think about the next time that you have an argument with your partner. Use this mantra, because you know I'm really big on mantras. This is what's going to remind you to calm down. Calm down. And I've said this on private sessions with clients. So if you're hearing this, yeah, I'm telling people how to use it. Be water, my friend. If we're in the middle of a session, now I always explain this technique to clients before I say it, so that when I say it in the middle of a session and they're in the middle of arguing, they're getting triggered, they're getting stuck, they're shutting down, they're lashing out. And I'll just say, be water, my friend. And you know what that means. It's this, essentially, it means just be loving, be water, and let's flow through this situation together. So the next time that you're triggered and you're suffering in PMDD with your partner, remember, be water, my friend. You got this. Love you. I hope this PMDD episode helped you and your partner in your struggles within your relationship. And if this is something that you know that you need help with and you need further support, individualized support, make sure you're going to inlovewithpmdd.com and you're getting those private sessions to really work through what you're going through in your relationship, specifically in regards to PMDD. And also, I want you to leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. What this does is it helps other PMDD sufferers and partners find this show that can help them get these free PMDD relationship tools. I remember what it felt like to not know that there were tools out there specifically for PMDD relationships. So I want to make sure that you are sharing these tools with others, share them on your social media, share them with people that you know that are also struggling in their PMDD relationships. Until next episode, this is Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist. One more thing, I almost forgot. I now have the Fresh Start PMDD Partners Workbook. What this workbook can do is, if you've had past traumatic experiences with your partner, past fights, past arguments, and they keep coming up every single month in PMDD, I created a Fresh Start Workbook so that you can deal with all of the traumatic experiences that have happened in the past in PMDD rage and all of these things, so you can stop going through the same cycle again and again and again. So get that workbook. It comes with a video episode of the actual podcast that I recorded on getting a fresh start in your PMDD relationship, so you're not continuing the same cycle again and again and again. So make sure that you get that workbook. And if you need those individualized counseling sessions, you know where to go, inlovewithpmdd.com. Until next time, we got this. Love you.